Of course, the news that's dominating the headlines is none other than the Cowboys, as the news dropped early this morning during KNC Masterpiece that Mike McCarthy and the Dallas Cowboys would be parting ways. Now, we've heard different stories as to what precipitated all this. Was it they couldn't agree on a contract? Now, some reports are saying that no, that never even got to that point.
Contract never even got up.
Mike said, you know what, I'm good.
And that's kind of what we discussed. We said, I think
talked about this on
less
Saturday.
about the money, less about the contract. I think it's a football thing of building a roster out. And maybe we were kind of all overlooking that throughout there. Like, it's going to be money, contract, this and that. It came down to a football of Jerry wants to run the team this way, thought it should be run this way, thought it should be continue to run this way. Mike McCarthy thought differently. And obviously with that deadline of the 14th or 13th.
Well, his contract ends tomorrow, so it officially ends tomorrow, but he can now, I mean, look, it's already been official. And actually what we see
Chicago Bears,
he's going to interview with them on Wednesday. And, of course, I got a good friend of mine, my boy Kevin Zepak, who works for the whatever station runs the White Sox. And that's the buzz in the Chi. Ever since the news came out this morning that Mike McCarthy would be leaving the Cowboys, and, of course, then it picked up steam that he's headed to Chicago, or at the very least he's going to interview with Chicago, which I'm going to tell you right now, with the way Ryan Poles and with the way that team operates, I would not be at all surprised for them to go out and get or hire a Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. I think a Mike McCarthy in Chicago would be hilarious. Going from Green Bay to Dallas, to Chicago. I have one of my best friends is a Bears fan, and I send him fake news every 5 minutes that McCarthy to Chicago is official, and he's like, I wouldn't wish this on anybody. Because he's made fun of me for the last couple of years of having Mike McCarthy on the team. And now Mike McCarthy will be coming to Chicago, I believe. I think it's going to happen. Now, a lot of people
he's better than Eberflus.
Better than Eberflus. A lot of people have said Caleb in that mixture might not be that bad.
Yeah.
But we obviously have.
He'd be the best offensive mind. Say what you want, and look, no one's going to get him confused for being some innovative mastermind. He's got a decent. He does run a decent offense. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could argue good, not great, but you know this much: he'd be the best offensive mind that Caleb Williams has worked with.
Would you say that he could run a better offense based on the weapons that are in Chicago, or do you think the weapons in Dallas over the past 4 years have been better?
Ooh, man. I mean, I think you'd have to say that. On paper, I like the receiving core better in Chicago. I mean, now again, this is not taking into consideration DJ Moore's a head case. All right, Keenan Allen's a bit of a head case. Rome Odunze is going to be a second-year guy, but you got a tight end in Cole Kmet. I mean, you've got pieces there. Now, you're going to have kind of the same problem that you had here in Dallas this year, as far as those guys can't block. That offensive line sucks, right? And so that's an issue. So maybe he's going to go out and take care of that. But, you and I discussed this on Saturday as far as why it could be a very real possibility that Mike McCarthy could say, you know what, I'm good. And he could be the one 86ing himself out. And I think it comes down to a couple things. One, he kind of laid the foundation earlier this year when he made the comment, and it was during during one of his weekly pressers. It wasn't on the station here, but I think it was just during one of his weekly press availabilities, where he said he was frustrated because you like to have your roster set by the time training camp rolls around, and so where you're not trying to add pieces in August because you're not. Oh,
interception, Sam Darnold.
I'll tell you what. Now I just need some. I'm telling you.
You called it,
dude. I'm telling you right now. I'll tell you what. We might see Daniel Jones tonight. We might see Daniel Jones
looks
tonight.
Horrible.
Sam Darnold is bleeping the bed as we speak.
Okay.
And that face from Kevin O'Connell told me all I need to know. If you might see Daniel Jones start warming up on the sideline.
I want to rope it back into the breaking news that we had about Deion Sanders being a top candidate.
What's your first gut response? And let's do a couple things here. 877-881-1053, 877-881-1053. That's the Franklin Injury text line. Chime in with your thoughts. Now, look, I was very critical of Deion Sanders on Saturday as far as because the news came out Saturday that he was interested in the Raiders job. Now, of course, the very next day, Raiders came out and said we have zero interest. Now, that being said, I have serious questions about Deion Sanders as a head coach. Okay, now the question would be, do you think there's viability to this, that Deion would be? I mean, do you think he'd be an upgrade? Is this just posturing? Or is this, because they said that the deal with him and the Lakers, him and the Raiders, was he was just trying to get leverage.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, I can see Jerry Jones, who's Mr. We know he loves a good a show. Mm-hmm. I don't doubt this one bit.
Yeah.
Because the thing about the Raiders don't have any interest, but we know the Cowboys would. Because this seems like the most Jerry Jones kind of hire. Now, my thing for you, though, he's already told us he's not going to coach unless he can coach his sons, or do we think that's just him saying that? But if the Cowboys come along, he's willing to ease off of those demands.
I think both can be true. I think he does want to coach his sons, but I think the Cowboys are in a whole different stratosphere where you kind of change your mindset of your rules, and
because that job wasn't available when he said that.
That job was not available when he said that. And I'll say this, Cowboys fans, is it out of the realm of possibility that the Cowboys don't make a little bit of movement in the draft? Maybe Shedeur slips a pick or two. Maybe the Cowboys get a little antsy. Maybe they say, "Oh, we got Deion. You want us to make that happen? Shell out a little bit more money." I'm not saying it's a possibility.
Well, when you say shell a little bit more money, you mean as far as what?
Draft capital and moving guys, and I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility moving up in the draft.
Yeah, but the amount of draft capital you'd have to give up to move up to that, because I mean, let's call it what it is. Shedeur's going to be a top 5 pick. All right, now
you're sitting at 12.
You're sitting at 12.
So you're giving up next year's first and this year's.
Oh, at least.
Boom.
At least. Well, this year I'm not even saying give it up. I mean, you're just swapping this year, but you're giving up at least 2 first-round picks if you're going to move up. If you're going to move up for Shedeur.
Well, I think X's and O's we can get into throughout the whole show, but I think what gets people fired up the most is the way that Deion Sanders is a leader of men, the way that he builds a culture, the way that he speaks to his team. And we talk about McCarthy not being very much of an alpha, not having the team prepared, not having them gone and ready. So I went ahead and pulled up a little clip once we got this news. Tolos, Fatties, Cowboys fans, let me know if this was your head coach talking to this Cowboys team before the game, how it would make you feel.
Is that going to work in the NFL?
I'm asking you. I'm asking the Fatties. I'm asking the Tolos. Do you want a coach that's just, hey, let's go out and get it, and is great at his job? I feel like the Cowboys need less of an X's and O's. We know they have the talent. And I think somebody on Twitter said, I don't remember who it was, Dak Prescott is at the point in his career he doesn't really need. He can shoulder some of the OC responsibilities, which I do agree with. As far as like play calling, knowing what to do, he's not a first or second year guy. They need more of a guy that's going to set the culture. I'm not saying Deion is the only guy, but I'm saying they need more of that more than I think they need an X's and O's. This is how to have this kind of offense. I would like a young-minded OC to help Dak. I think culture, defense is more important right now than, as much as I love motion, but I don't think they need someone to come in there and tell them, hey, guys, let's run motion. That's pretty clear cut. I think we all understand that. They need someone that's going to rally the guys, not let the BS slack.
But you're going to have to outdo some out scheming. I mean, I think that's part of the problem with this team.
I think you can still do both. Bring in a cool, young OC, college, never heard of, whatever it may be. Kellen Moore, for all who cares? But I think at the head coach position, they need an authoritarian. They need someone that's setting the guy straight. Not a cool guy, not somebody that gets along with everybody. Not someone that's a retread that's been here that Jerry and him are bumping shoulders. Glad to have you back in the building. We don't need that. We need someone that's going to make Jerry feel a little uncomfortable. Someone's going to make the players feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, but is Deion going to do that, though? I'm not convinced Deion's going to do that.
I mean, I feel like he would.
I just, based off of what?
I feel like you're not on the Deion train.
I want to see more. Look, I want to see Deion when he doesn't have his son and Travis Hunter.
Well, he's going to have better than that.
What's that?
He's going to have NFL talent. He's going to have better than that. He's going to have a full roster.
I understand that, but I mean, I want to see Deion when you don't have your son. I mean, we haven't seen him coach in college without his son.
What does that have to do with
and Travis Hunter?
What does him coaching his sons have to do?
I want to see what he does when he doesn't have one of the best quarterbacks and the Heisman Trophy winner. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
He's already been through four. I mean, he went through 4 coordinators in 2 years at Colorado. How are you going to fly in the NFL?
Well, he's not the one making the decisions in the NFL. That's what the owner and GM is for. So he's not going to be able to just fire OCs left and right.
But they left because they didn't like the environment, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, also because I think in Colorado he was trying to shoulder a lot of rebuilding an entire program. You're going to the Cowboys, that place that has
where it's
resources.
Going to be 10 times more extreme.
No, I'm saying has all the resources. He doesn't have to do all this. He wasn't just coaching the team and clocking out and going home. He's building up an entire program.
Why did no other team want Deion? Besides, no other NFL team has inquired about Deion.
Well, we've said that about a bunch of coaches that have interviewed places, and we know the Cowboys are unique. I'm not saying that Deion should be the top candidate for every team. I think he is an odd, obtuse fit that I think that isn't that crazy in Dallas. When we did our top 5 coaches we want, Deion was on your list.
No, he was.
What has happened since then?
Because I watched the rest of the Big 12 season.
He lost to Kansas.
Yeah, he lost to Kansas. He lost to BYU, and he didn't just get beat. He got his ass kicked.
No, I'm not saying that.
And I'm not saying that he can't get better, all right? But look, you've said, and I guess my point is this with Deion. I just have concerns about, all right, you're adjusting to the college game. The NFL is a different world, and I just wonder, from a coaching standpoint and from a motivational standpoint, how much is that going to play in the NFL? And again, and especially in a place like Dallas, where it's 24/7, 365, all eyes are on you.
Yeah,
which he can handle that part.
I'm
not worried about that part, but I worry about the coaching part, because you can do whatever. Look, in Colorado, they're just glad to have you. Okay, he can do whatever he wants in Chicago. All right, that I don't know how many speeches like that's going to play in the NFL.
But who's been giving speeches like that? Who's been motivating a team like that since Jimmy Johnson?
I'm not. Look, here's the thing.
I think
there's only so much. But here's my thing. You're only going to motivate so much in the NFL.
I agree, but the problem with the Cowboys has not been they don't have talent outside of this past year. It's been discipline. It's been not being ready. It's not been a talent thing of like, man, if the Cowboys just had a receiver.
Well, no, the problem's been winning the playoffs. That's the problem.
Agreed.
Okay,
agreed.
so that's the issue. So do we think? And here's the bottom line: is Deion Sanders in his first year a better coach than Mike McCarthy?
Have to wait to see. I mean, I can't say yes or no.
I mean, but do you think he is?
Could be. Yeah. I mean, no one thought he was going to turn around Colorado in his first year, so I'm not going to write out thing. I'm not going to say no.
I'm just saying, turning around Colorado and getting them 4 wins, then 9 wins, and turning around a college program.
It's just margins. 40% increase. Can he do a 40% increase in the Cowboys?
But we're not. Look, here's the thing, though. We're not here. We don't care if he wins a division in Dallas.
If his first year they make it to the playoffs, that is definitely a W. If Deion is the coach, and if they can get,
is it?
Yes.
How so?
If his first year,
any coach you put in there is it that's the expectation. Well, I don't care if it's Kellen Moore or Jason Witten. No, that's the expectation.
No, I'm saying in their first year, if Deion makes the playoffs, that is a W. And then the next year, if he loses in the first round, but it's a super close game, that's a win. The third year, they make it past the first round.
So would it have been a win if Mike McCarthy would have got to the playoffs next year?
No, because he has 5 years with the 4 years with the Cowboys of showing he couldn't do it.
So now we're okay with we're going to let it's going to be on a coaching.
The clock resets. Yes, if Deion, whatever coach, doesn't matter. Whatever coach comes in, it resets. Yes,
see,
they're not on the same scale.
I don't think so.
They have to win a Super Bowl their first year to show that they're better.
You better make a playoff run.
I mean, it depends what rosters put around.
If you fired Mike McCarthy, then what are you doing? Because if that's the reason why you got rid of Mike McCarthy,
Mike McCarthy shouldn't have been brought back this past year. I was fully on that boat, so I don't know why they brought him back for another year. They didn't give him a great roster, and we've talked about that at length.
And so, but that's my point. Is that look, and all I'm saying is from the Jerry Jones perspective is this: you went quote unquote all in because you gave Dak $240 and you gave CD $140, and you're about to pay Micah right? And so now we're going to fill up the spots however those look. All I'm saying is that what's the expectation for the next head coach? Because if the next expectation is, hey, just win 12 games and get to the playoffs.
Well, no, not for 5-6 years. But if the first year you can win me 12 games in your first time coaching the NFL, that is a win. And then the next year, if you show progress, that would be more than Mike did the year prior, albeit the roster wasn't great, still more wins.
Yeah.
And then you can keep building upward.
He also dealt with him. He also had no quarterback for three-quarters of the year.
If he can build upward, then that's a win. I'm not expecting whatever coach to come in the very first year, especially if it's a newer guy, to win the Super Bowl or be in the NFC Championship. Now, if they bring back Kellen Moore, someone who's been here, yes, his expectation is different.
Why?
Because he's been part of this program. There's no adjustment period.
Okay, so we're going to move the goalpost, pun intended, depending on who the coach is.
100%. It's not even moving the goalpost.
How is that? How is that possible?
What do you mean?
If I bring in Kellen Moore, if Kellen Moore comes in and he doesn't make the playoffs, it's a failure. But if Deion comes in and doesn't make the playoffs,
I didn't say that.
You just did.
I said if he makes the first round. You said didn't make the playoffs now.
Well, no, but okay. So, either one, you got to make it.
Okay, losing the first round and not make the playoffs are two different scenarios.
So why? But no. But you just said if Kellen Moore gets in,
correct,
because he knows the system,
correct,
he should automatically make it further
than
whoever other coach you put in.
Yes, he.
How?
There is an adjustment period with becoming.
How many years has he been a head coach?
Who?
Kellen Moore.
2?
0. No, head coach. That's what I'm saying.
Chargers.
No, he's an offensive coordinator.
Okay, so 0.
So that's what I'm trying to say is that you can't move the goalpost for the expectations. The expectation. I don't care if you put in Deion, Bill Parcells, whoever.
I disagree.
Like you gave $240 million to Dak Prescott. You're not here just to barely make it.